Welcome to another episode of Red Hill Racing Podcast. I'm Ben Knight here again with Mr. 40-time Dustin Lee, and we have not been canceled yet. I don't know who can cancel us, but they can't cancel us yet, and we ain't been canceled yet.
Yeah, they can't cancel us. We're here to stay forever.
We are here for your entertainment. That's really why we're doing it. No joke. Like the feedback and just making sure y'all have something cool to listen to during the work week or on the way to the racetrack. Man, we're having fun with it. So thanks for tuning in and listening to yet another episode of Red Hill Racing.
So after we do our due diligence duties here, we have an exciting guest we're going to bring up, but we're going to wait.
Yeah.
We got a guest. We've already recorded it. We're going to do our due diligence. I can't even speak tonight. We're going to do this, and then we're going to, do all our housewarming duties, and then we're going to break the news.
And we didn't even tease it. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Man, you beat me to the punch. We didn't even that's like you and me racing. You just freaking treed me reaction time. Not safe for work. I just about dropped an F-bomb because I was thinking about the multiple whoopings Dustin's laid on me. But yeah, so not safe for work. Sorry, we curse a little bit. That's just who we are. We love y'all though. Yeah, that was a good analogy. Just like you treating me all the time.
I mean, I guess.
Actually, the last two times you and I've raced, I've went red.
Yeah, so I guess you treat me.
Both through you. Funny. Man, you're all over tonight. Both for different reasons, circumstances. So whatever. We won't get into that. Nobody wants to hear that shit. Yeah, so we're back again. We got a special interview for y'all. We already recorded it, as Dustin said. So we want to shout out our sponsors, of course. The sponsors are making it work, and they are also the ones providing the awesome giveaways to our subscribers. If you're new to the show, it's obviously free to listen to, but we do have an option that you can sign up either on redhillracingpodcast.com. You can sign up for a subscription there, or on the, as we call it, the Patron link from Podbean. So that's in all of our notes as well. Basically, if you want to pledge $1 a month, you get entered into some awesome giveaways. And we're well over halfway, right, to our first big giveaway.
Yeah, and never forget to like and share.
Yeah, for sure. But like we said, if you haven't tuned in before, all it takes is $1. We gave away, $300 carbon fiber seat pan last week?
Yep, and that reminds me, he told me to bring it to XDA, so I got to make sure that's in the trailer, which I'll have all of them.
Bad boy up, loaded up. So carbon fiber bodywork, ignition coils. Penske gave us a shock. A shock we're giving away. You could win the shock for $1. So
yeah, that'll probably be like a Christmas giveaway, hopefully, or maybe sooner.
I got an idea for that. I'm going to talk to you about. Not on here right now, but I got a really good idea for that. So yeah. Anyways, that's that. Without the sponsors, though, bringing these giveaways and stuff, it wouldn't, we wouldn't really have a reason for you to subscribe. So we got these giveaways through the sponsors, and it's a way to say thank you guys for supporting us. So shout out to our sponsors. We've got BMF Motorsports, who just gave away that carbon fiber seat, and they got a tank shell yet to give away. We have our baby, or my baby, University of Win. It's going really well. Check that out. Energy Coil Ignition Coils, my other baby, Night Marketing Group. Then, of course, Dustin's other baby, Hard Times Parts and Service for all your parts. My good friends at Montgomery Motorsports, carbon fiber bodywork. We got Kevin at Manchester Mines. You want some forks redone or some fab work, short neck frame, does it all. Last week we had the Great Legacy Schnitz family. Did I say that right? Legacy? Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Legendary
is probably more fitting. But anyway, Schnitz Racing signed up with us last week. We're going to give away a $50 gift certificate from Schnitz next week, so stay tuned to that. Our main man, Ralphie Navarro and Platinum General Services. Just appreciate the hell out of them and all the support they are giving, not only Red Hill Racing, but the University of Win. I mean, Platinum has pledged, $3,500 in giveaways to the school now?
Yes.
Awesome. MTC Engineering, that's Dustin's bread and butter. He's Salesman of the Year.
My favorites.
So shout out to Eric and MTC.
Yes.
Penske Racing shocks. That's what Dustin and I use. That's our go-to shock.
If you spinning, you ain't winning, son.
That's right. That's right. And you got built-in traction control. So
yeah,
if you don't have Dustin Lee traction control, get with him. He'll get you a Penske.
Yeah. Well, hell, if you do, it'll help. Bring it on.
Yeah.
Everybody need it. Yeah.
And last but certainly not least, another icon in the sport, Dave Conforti and Worldwide Bearings. If you want to free up some resistance and do it pretty affordably, a set of wheel bearings and get it done. So,
yeah, I personally run all his stuff and all my wheels, transmissions. It's the good stuff.
It makes a difference, doesn't it?
Yep. After that list, we got to give them a little, just a little applause.
For sure. Seriously, we appreciate the heck out of all of our sponsors and the listeners, so y'all are making it happen. What else, Dustin? What else we got? Are you racing anywhere this coming weekend?
I might be slipping over to Knoxville this weekend. They're having a $600 to win bike class deal. XDA's next weekend. Yep, I feel like that it might be a good idea for me just to go practice some racing a little bit. See if some of these local guys can put a whooping on me, maybe, and prepare me to get my butt whooped probably at the Gamblers race Friday night.
I would never hope that for you, but if that does happen, then I hope somebody else on this show can hold another trophy. So
can you beat me in the final so I can just get some of my sponsorship money back? That would be cool.
Look, I'll tell you what, if we roll into XDA and if I not only continue my hot streak, which Tiffany said I jinxed myself at SDBA because I said I hadn't lost on a Friday in a while. Well, look, the only thing that matters is XDA. That's where the streak is alive. So I'm still calling my shot. But dude, if I got a plan, finals, if I could meet you in the finals on the Gamblers race, I would actually probably feel confident racing you.
No, this is what we got to do.
What's that?
If we meet in the finals, we're going to do burnouts and swap bikes.
Jason would lose his damn mind.
No, he let us do it. It's no points. There's nothing to worry about. It's just a race.
There should be points. I'd be the damn champion.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, I'm thinking about riding two-tone on motor in the Gamblers. If so, it would be perfect for you to ride that bike on motor because it wouldn't be wheeling. Man,
it'd be tough on what I almost would have to ride my fast bike.
I can't ride that motherfucker.
Why not?
I ain't got earplugs.
Oh, that is true. Yeah, you couldn't.
Yeah,
mine are custom fit. Yeah, that is a good point.
You better be on Purple Rain.
Purple Rain, man, I don't know that thing. I don't know. You might could jump on it.
I ride it. It just leaves slow. I just have to hold a bunch of numbers and teach you some tricks.
It leaves slow, and this is not a knock on you, but we'd have to do a little. We'd have to check it out in the pits beforehand, make sure it doesn't eat through the tail section.
Oh, here we go, fat guy stuff.
Man,
problems.
I'm not. It's just like
we'll just take the damn tail off of it. I don't need that thing.
There we go. Just hang on. Did you see that picture from SDBA the other weekend of me?
Yeah.
Some dude even commented and pointed out because I think I shared it to Schnitz or whatever.
Yeah.
And he was like, man, that guy is like a solid foot off the seat. And I was thinking, no shit, I couldn't hang on to that thing.
Yeah, I can hang on to it. I'll be planted in the seat when you put all this.
Man, it was
all this up on it.
It was my shiny new Vance and leathers that I managed to burn a leg up on.
Yeah, you put some Mountain Dew or root beer on your seat, didn't you?
Man, that was a damn Spencer Claycomb.
It works, man.
It did help. Spencer is like, man, why don't you just put some Pepsi or cola on it? And I was like, dude, what? What in the hillbilly shit is this?
I put some sticky on there.
Trust me. So we may do.
Yeah, that'd be all right. I mean, if we get in the finals again, we got to try that because I've always wanted to do it. And I've had a few friends do it, and it'd just be cool as shit. Like, it'd be cool. But for me, getting the finals is a long shot. I don't give a shit what Jason wants to do. We're going to be splitting the money and switching bikes. Red light us. Who gives a shit? We don't care.
Oh man, we could also just go up there and right before we stage, we could just shut them off and get off and go hug each other.
Yeah, or something. Yeah, I mean, whatever. However you want. We got to do something epic. But me getting the finals is a big deal.
Yeah,
like it might not happen.
We're jinxing ourselves, so let's just shut the hell up right now.
Nah, man, that's just us hoping. We're just being optimistic. Come on.
Yeah, we're coming to win. That's for sure, though.
We
got to close that trailer door thinking we're going to win. That's how you got to.
You see what I'm doing? I'm changing motorcycles, so I'm trying some stuff.
Yeah, for sure. We won't get into that. We got a special guest on tonight. I don't know. I think it went awesome. Like I enjoyed it. Our guest was plenty talkative and not in a bad way. It just Dustin and I just sat back and enjoyed it, man. And I thoroughly enjoyed that one. What about you?
I would think it was awesome. People got a lot of information, and it always leads back to making sure you have a good time at the racetrack and enjoy your friends and family. It just seems like no matter who we get on here or what we're talking about, that comes up every time. And it ends up talking about the same thing because that is what's important in what we do.
Yep, and that's having fun and making sure you're having fun at the racetrack. Did I tell you? I think that's what Dave Schnitz told me the other day when he was like, we're signing up for the podcast." He's like, "Make sure y'all are talking about the good times and the memories at the track. It's not all about the racing." I said, "Man, we got you covered. We got you covered, Dave." So, you want to introduce? You want to let them know who we just had probably a 75-minute interview with, and we could have went longer, but the man that some people think doesn't work, he was up at 4 a.m. and at work by 5:30 this morning, so we didn't want to keep him too long. You want to let him know who we got on tonight?
Man, this is a personally good friend of mine that I text just, personally. We talk. Asset to the sport. They sponsor stuff in the sport. They share back to the sport. Him and his father would give you the shirt off their back if you needed it. And some people's probably already figured it out just by saying that. It's Jason Dunigan, and you couldn't ask for a better person to have on here.
Yeah, we're so excited that Jason took time out of his extremely busy day. If you listen to the whole podcast right then, Jason tells everybody that he does have a job. It's a little bit of a joke, but he does have a job. And man, he went through his daily schedule today, and dude, he made me feel like I didn't do shit today.
And I was sitting here on my phone. I was on my phone looking for like a drum roll before I said who it was. And I found a button that says suspense reveal. And I have no idea what it sounds like. So let's just hear it. Oh, that ain't it. That wasn't it. Good thing I didn't try it.
That was like a horror movie type deal.
Yeah, and it's got a drum roll, but man, it's lame. It ain't even no good. It's there. Yeah. That's like a joke.
Oh, that's a bad joke.
Bro. Yeah.
Man, hey, I feel like we did a good job introducing him, though. Like I said, Jason talks a little bit about his history getting into racing, which is pretty cool. It's always been a family affair. And, then he, of course, has primarily raced Pro Street class for really the last decade. So just really cool to kind of hear him talk about the struggles and tribulations, and then just kind of comes full circle. Last year was a hell of a good year for Jason, so he kind of goes through it all. And a lot of wisdom I feel like came out of this. Some more like good feel, wisdom, life wisdom. I guess.
We were talking, with Jason, and Ben just now mentioned the highs and lows. Man, that is what makes you. Like, I think the highs and lows is what creates a good person, or it's character building stuff. And there's nobody in this sport that's lived all highs. It don't work that way. You got to, and we even talked about, his son that races junior dragsters, and, and how respectful they try to be and after the races and this and that. And you got to learn to lose before you can win. And I just think that's, in my opinion, it's God's work, and it's just building the character that, he wants you to be. And I never get mad when I lose. I always look at if I done something wrong and try to figure out why. I might call myself an idiot or whatever, but I know that that's just preparing me to appreciate the wins. So I never really get upset. I look at my ticket, see what I done wrong, toss it, carry on my way. It was I'm very happy. To be honest with all y'all listening, this come up yesterday. Like, we was just talking about what we're going to talk about and kind of pre-gaming, and we usually don't even do that. And I mentioned a Pro Street racer, and Ben instantly said Jason Dunigan. I said, that's a great idea. And within like 5 minutes, he goes, he's in. He already texted him.
Confirmed.
We were good. Yeah. So
confirmed. I was on it. The mission was understood.
Yeah. And I think it was easy for us to pick him. We know Gage is Pro Street racer too, right? But, his interview was pro stock, more or less, and just introducing Gage to the world that people didn't know where he come from. And we was thinking of XDAs coming up, who can we talk to? And I thought Pro Street, and it's kind of tough, right? Because a lot of the Pro Street racers are high notch, hard to get on a podcast, probably, maybe. They ain't got time for it. And Jason really didn't have time for it, but he made time because thankfully we're his friends, you know.
Yeah, well,
And
he was excited to be on here, which was
yeah,
pretty cool. I mean, like
yeah,
Dustin and I were humbled, like we said, that he'd take the time, and
yeah,
he was excited to get on here and talk. So we hope everybody enjoys as much as we did chatting with our buddies. So
yeah. And we get to see him next weekend.
yeah, yeah, the XDA's next weekend. Man, I hope we get some, more. I'd love to have some different Pro Street racers on. We're out to
Start making a list and start talking to people. Be like, hey, man, you interested in talking about your history on here? And I mean, one that pops in everybody's mind when you think of Pro Street is Rodney Williford. Like, yeah. I can't personally remember Rodney doing anything except going fast. I'm curious to think, like, what has Rodney done? Has he ever bracket raced? You know what I mean? Like, there's some stuff that I have like questions.
Rodney would be a sleeper in bracket race. I just have this feeling that he would.
Yeah, yeah. I agree. I agree.
Maybe he did. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, a racer's a racer, right? I mean, either got it or you don't. And and people can, Jason goes into detail about people talking about him and this and that. And man, Pro Street is rough. Like, yeah, me and Ben go bracket racing, race 4 classes and win one of them. But you're talking about like sportsman like classes. To win a pro class is not something that's just easy. 2 things, it's expensive. And another thing is you got to you're pushing it to everything you can in that particular class to go as fast as you can. Yeah, well, there's a whole lot of variables in going A to B. Unlike our bikes are usually built to just do it no matter what. They're built to take it every time, but we're not pushing them. Well, I guess I kind of push mine sometimes with nitrous and all that stuff, but realistically, it could go way faster, and I never pushed that envelope. And they're pushing it every 100th matters, But,
sorry, man, I gotta cut in. I was just thinking, you said and you were saying take it. What's that movie? Wanderlust? Is it Wanderlust with Paul Rudd?
Yeah, Wanderlust.
No, we can't say it.
No. Hey, anybody listening, go watch Wanderlust. That movie's funny. You gonna take it?
Take it? That's when you said. That's when you were saying like the bike's just gonna take it, and that's what I was like.
They take it. If you guys have seen Wanderlust, you will know what I'm talking about. That's
just YouTube Paul Rudd Wanderlust. It'll pop right up.
All-time favorite movie ever, and I'm a huge Jennifer Aniston fan. So, man, like that old girl right there. We can't get into that. Man, I'm just, I'm a fan. And she's just not fake. You know what I mean? Naturally pretty woman. That's right down my alley. I'm not interested in all that makeup stuff. But
I wouldn't say all-time favorite for me, but it's a damn good movie, and that scene's iconic. So y'all know that are in the know. Y'all know what
Yeah. If you know, you know.
I had to stop you, man. I'm sorry. I had to stop that.
That's a joke that we do all the time. And speaking of all the time, so me and Ben has been talking, and this might come to a reality next weekend, maybe. We might do a rough one. We're thinking about some Red Hill Racing after hours videos, not podcasts, and you guys just listening to us. We're thinking maybe some after hours shenanigans. We may get Darnell. There might be all kinds of different people. I mean, I really don't change much. I am who I am, but there, you
don't have an alter ego.
I mean, maybe you could call me sleepy when I'm, when it's time for me to go to bed and after hours stuff, but I don't, but I think, so we have learned that people relate to what we're doing here and people enjoy listening to us, to go through their day. Usually Wednesdays or Thursday, whenever you listen to it, that we think everybody loves. I mean, our personal favorite part of going to the racetrack is after the race and hanging out with their friends, or during the day if you get to or whatever. So we're thinking that everybody can relate to that. Now, we're not, going to be the best editors and making it perfect, and we're going to have to learn a lot. And I might help some on that because I'm pretty good at making video clips. But we're thinking we might eventually have a Red Hill Racing after hours. And it would probably just be like YouTube videos, and attaching to our podcast or maybe make a new channel. I don't know. But anyway,
we got to work out the details because this could get
Let us know. Let us know if y'all are interested in some after hours. I mean, it could just be us all sitting in chairs just talking. I have no clue. We might have to cut a lot of stuff out. I don't know.
I know what we need is we just need to go up and start recording conversations with our boy, Mr. Boo Brown.
Yeah, I mean, we could get Boo. I mean, we could have video clips like during the Grudge when we're done racing and the Grudge is still going on, and go up there and do some Grudge footage.
We maybe can get some advice from Chris. Chris Moore will lead us in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, we could even one of our best friends, Spencer, he races that stuff. So we could get some behind the scenes, like thrash on the bike, getting it ready for the next round. I mean, there is the
that's all
potential.
Spencer needs is for us to be even more helpless.
I mean, yeah, or even the Friday night gamblers when I'm already lost first round, second round, and Ben's still racing. I could get some gamblers footage. I'm not saying that I'm going to devote all my free time to holding a GoPro and getting some clips, because that's not how I am. I'm usually busy helping people. But if I happen to be at the starting line, why not take the GoPro with? You know what I mean? And I have a 360. We don't have to buy nothing. I already have one. So,
and I got some GoPros. I don't know what version they are, but I even got the gimbals that are like,
yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
I mean, to be real, I watch a lot of YouTube, and a whole hell of a lot of these YouTubers uses a daggum smartphone to do the deal.
The phones are so damn good now. They're like mini computers.
Yeah, you just can't hold that thing up and down. You got to hold it horizontal. You can't, like, I hate when people do a YouTube video and they have to, like, the blacks on the side where they hold their phone straight up and down to do the video. Yeah. I like it to be wide angle. What is that called? It's not
wide angle.
Landscape. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
And make sure you hold your phone landscape. And I mean, I go up there and, if I ain't racing or if I'm going to help tune a clutch or something, I mean, I might even get some customers who's clutch tuning stuff in the, who knows? But we are tossing around the idea of having just a little bit of racing YouTube videos and maybe some after hours shenanigans. We can't be going too crazy because I think there's some YouTube demonetizing stuff you got to worry about. I have to do some research on that. Ben's the brains of this.
I just don't want to go to jail. So
yeah, we gotta. There might be some things that you just can't see, or like some blurred stuff, because at the racetrack you might walk up on some person's trailer and they might have their own business, so you can't be showing all that stuff. But
we're thinking,
yeah, we potentially may start picking at the surface of just having some little fun. This is what we do. We all enjoy it. Everybody that's listening to this loves the same thing that we love. And I think you guys would like to see it. So
yeah, we're not going to banter and talk. And like you said, it'll be a little bit more NSFW because, I mean, it's after hours. We don't have a long day of racing, but it's good times. It's good times.
I mean, you'll get to see Ben pour some orange juice in an Old E and drink it. I mean, I'll drink one. I mean, there's potential. I mean, we might go to Foxy Fish and have a clip of some crabs. I mean, as a fat man, I'd like to see that, So
yeah, we're working on this. Let us know what y'all think. Also, another thing we've been throwing around, I think this is going to happen very soon. We're going to do something live soon. Whether it's basically the podcast going to be live. I'm meeting with our awesome liaison, our consultant tomorrow for lunch. Miss Lauren is going to kind of help me out with that too. So we're going to do, I don't know if it'll end up being Facebook Live, and then we'll be able to save that audio and still upload it. But we want to do something live here in the next week or two where, y'all join us and ask questions or.
Yeah, I mean, a Facebook Live or the YouTube channel on live on there, something that way people can go watch it and we can answer some questions while we're doing it. I think YouTube would be good because YouTube is a video platform, and I think it would be the good place for it. But Facebook is easier, and everybody will see it quicker. But I don't know. Like, realistically,
Lauren will get us straight tomorrow. She'll let me know what we got to do.
Yeah, I mean, you can play all the scenarios and we'll figure it out. But most importantly, we appreciate y'all. We're thankful that you guys are listening, and a lot of you, I get messages, when's it coming up? It's usually Wednesdays,
Usually Wednesdays.
And we're excited that you're excited. Next week, we'll probably still record Tuesday, and we're going to a race. Ben will be going to the race probably Wednesday night because he's testing Thursday all day. I'll be leaving Thursday morning, maybe leaving Wednesday night. I'm not sure yet. Either way, we hope you guys enjoy the Jason Dunigan, I guess you'd say, interview, or it's just us rambling with Jason. Jason really, he kept apologizing for talking so much, but that's right down my alley. I wanted to keep talking because we're getting info, and Jason's an outstanding person. His dad, his entire family and friends, and he's got great kids, and it's a beautiful family, and we hope you enjoy it.
Yeah, we had a heck of a time chatting with Jason, and we just hope y'all have as much fun listening to it. So without further ado, right? Oh, no, one last thing. I forgot, man. You're going to be proud of me.
Oh, Lord.
No, man, I'm gonna
Are
stay
you
home
working
this
on your
weekend and I'm
motorcycles?
gonna get everything ready and I'm gonna
Oh,
be red tea Sunday. Like I'm gonna my goal is to text you by like 6 o'clock Sunday evening and be like, man, it's all ready. I just chuck it in the trailer and we are gone, man. Like
well, I
ready.
mean, see, that's the one
I've
reason
only had
why.
all winter, right?
Yeah, that's the one reason why I'm not sure I want to go test because that leads, I mean, go race, practice, whatever you want to call it, is that leads to prep next week. And Mondays are busy. Tuesdays we do a podcast. So if I leave Wednesday night, I have to squeeze it all in Wednesday. It makes it difficult, but I still may because I could probably just go test and leave them in the trailer,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, you'd be all right with that. Like, see,
yeah.
so I was at first I was like, man, KOG is like, I don't know, it's at Colonial Beach, which I think is like 2 hours from me. So it's pretty close. I was like, they're racing this weekend. I was like, excuse me. I was like, they've got some pretty or the purses seemed decent for some ET. I was like, man, I could go get some practice. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't have all my bikes prepped. I have a bike that
Yeah.
I could take down there, but then I had to talk myself out. I was like, that's dumb because then I'll spend, like you said, be trying to hustle and bustle
Thrashing.
Monday,
Well,
Tuesday, Wednesday to get my stuff ready.
it
So,
would be extremely difficult for me to leave my bikes in the trailer and not look them over and clean them before I go to a race. So
yeah.
the odds of me still unloading them and doing that is very high if I do go Saturday. And I probably will, depending on what the weather and, we're getting I bought my wife, some of you has probably seen it, a washer and dryer. It's getting delivered Sunday. We got to install that stuff. So I might just skip out. I'm not sure yet, but I am
I gotta get,
excited for next.
go ahead. Yeah. Yeah. You're excited.
Yeah, I'm excited for next weekend for sure.
I gotta get Bubbles ready. I gotta get my girl ready. I gotta show her some love.
About to
And
have the crap run out of it.
what do you mean?
About to put that thing to work.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh man, it's easy. Like 15 pounds of boost. No big deal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
I guess. But
All right.
anyway, well, what's that
I don't know
noise?
why I'm losing, huh?
Oh, Jason's here.
Oh, damn, nice. All right, all right. Here you guys go. You guys, damn, I'm losing my voice, man. There's so much pollen up here. I'm trying to get through this. All right. Here you guys and gals go. Without further ado, Dustin and I would like to welcome Jason Dunigan to the show.
Enjoy the show.
All right. Well, we have our special guest on the air with us tonight. We told you guys about it. We're super excited. Dustin and I have known him well, I've known him for as long as I've been motorcycle drag racing. I'm sure Dustin's the same. So, welcome to the show, Mr. Jason Dunigan.
Thank you, guys. I'm honored to be here and it's a pleasure to talk to you both.
Yeah, for sure. I really think I've known of you. Maybe it was more of that. So maybe the infamous Jason Dunigan. I've known of you at least since I started motorcycle drag racing, and you've always. I've only ever seen you race Pro Street. Don't know if you've ever raced anything else, but how long have you known Jason, Dustin?
Oh man,
Same?
a long time. We become friends, so then it just seems like eternity after that. But I've always been aware of who he was. And then I guess we kind of just got to hanging out through Brandy and DME. And then before you know it, we're all friends. Just pretty much how every drag racer becomes. You know what I mean? Like we all just become a family pretty much.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
It's funny how we all kind of cross paths. We get in the same area and we cross paths, and then, we cling on to each other. And like with Dustin's business, it's like I buy everything I can from him because that's what racers do,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I'm always super appreciative. It really helps. And that's a lot of my friends do that. And if they do something, I try to buy it from them. You know what I mean? So it works out that way.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So we feel like most everybody that's listening is probably going to know about you and know who you are and some of your history. But for those that don't, and we do have some, dude, believe it or not, we got some people listening in Australia and Canada and stuff like that, and some that aren't even necessarily in drag racing. So if you want, you don't have to, give us the full length story, but if you want to give us some cliff notes of kind of how you got in, I know it's basically a family affair, but if you kind of just want to run through that for the listeners, that'd be great, I think, to start off.
So it was, I was younger, like 12 or 13, and my dad was racing snowmobiles. We were drag race snowmobiles. And, we say snowmobiles, they were fast. They were like 60 foots. The top class was a class called 1,000 Open Mod, and they would run like 1060s. They were like mid to low threes on the 330, but they were fast. And my dad built my brother a snowmobile, and this is when Michigan winters were pretty predominant. And we went out to the lake, and my dad built this beautiful snowmobile for my brother, who was older. He's 3 years older than me, and he made a couple passes on it, and he just said, I don't really like it. It's pretty terrifying. And I was 14, and I said, well, I want to ride it. My dad's like, you're too little. And I said, well, we got all day. Just teach me. It was just me and him. And, I started rolling off the line and gassing it. Every pass, I went a little bit further. And then, by the end of the day, we were 60 foot in it. And we went to our first race. I was 14 years old. When I was little and skinny, it was, how much do you weigh? Not can you ride? It's like, how much you weigh? And he's like, I started riding, and we went to my first race, and I entered 9 classes, and I won all 9 of them. And then they kicked me out and said that they couldn't insure me because I was 14. So then we had to get my own insurance policy. So I carried my own binder until I was 16. And I raced with my dad, and I have obviously since those days. And I've traveled the country racing with him. And I don't want to lie to you and tell you that we're the type of family that is, hugs and kisses and teddy bears. We've had some pretty gruesome fights, but he's my father. I don't always agree with him, but I respect him in ways, that you should as a father.
For sure.
And people have looked at me my whole life and said, silver spoon, spoiled, can't win a race, can't do this. And, snowmobiling came a little easier than the motorcycle. And then I started, I was at Milan Friday night heads up, and I met Bud Yoder, and he was running for Ronnie Mitchell, and they were going 200 miles an hour. And I just said, I got to do that. I got to do that.
Yeah. I think everybody says that.
obviously, if you were getting thrown on a badass snowmobile and talking your dad into letting you ride at 14, and those things sound pretty wicked, then you had the bug pretty good.
He was. I'm very blessed that my dad has been so supportive of my hobbies, because he's always had my back. And I can tell you this: when we were pushed to the brink of quitting, in different atmospheres of Pro Street, because at some point you realize, well, am I wasting money? Right. I have a family. Am I wasting money if I can't compete?
Or time.
And people think, like my wife, for example, thinks when you go to the racetrack, it's vacation.
Yeah.
And I know you two run a different program, and people drive by the DME tent, and we do a lot of our own, but Jimmy and Andy are the heartbeat, and Brandy. I wouldn't be where I'm at right now without her, because she has pushed me to that level. And I mean, you both know her well, and she makes everybody around you better. Yep. And her coverage alone makes the sport better. And, I started racing Super Street for Ronnie Mitchell. I did it 1 year, and I struggled a little bit, but, I didn't really get into it, and I didn't really like it. And, the very first motorcycle race I ever went to, Ricky Gatson and Victor Gote, got in a fight at the other end about ETs, because that's when Victor went a 799. And my dad called me and was like, he didn't go. And he goes, how's it going? I'm like, they're fist fighting about times. And he's like, well, I came from a very different atmosphere. And I'm like, it's pretty hostile around here.
Yeah.
So
that's crazy.
I bought Ronnie Mitchell's Pro Street bike, Roxanne, in Gainesville. It went 720, and I made a deal that I'd buy it right when we got back, but he wasn't allowed to take the bike. It was bought from the trailer. In the first race I went to, he qualified number 2, 742 to Sebastian 741. And I ended up getting beat in the semis. I think my inexperience got to me, but I'm not going to say I'm the world's best rider, but I'm not the world's worst. And, as we've progressed, the bike got a lot better in the last 4 years. And if you look at the way I've rode, the bike has gotten a lot better, and I came with it.
I've personally seen you advance as a rider the past 5 years. Like, I've seen it. Like, you are still learning. And I think if you can learn, you can be the best. You know what I mean? As long as you're teachable.
Well, I read something pretty important and it stuck with me. The guy that brings his motorcycle in the back of his pickup truck and two guys, they talk about how much fun they had on the way home.
Yeah.
The guy that brings a 53-foot semi, if they don't win, they didn't have any fun.
Yeah.
And, you sometimes forget it. And the turning point in my racing career was my children, because I watched them in the stands and I realized that that's real life.
Yep.
What I do is just fun.
For sure.
And I look at all those kids in there and how I'm their hero. And that's why World Cup was so important to me. And Rodney has kicked our behind all year long, just like everybody else. And just when you get closer to him, he kind of dangles. It's like the State Farm, you almost had it. And it's hard not to get discouraged. But the biggest thing for me is I want Rodney to be at his best when we beat him. And unfortunately, World Cup, we went down the track every time. And one thing we prided ourselves on is going down the track every single time and making somebody beat us.
Right.
And we've been beat, but we've gotten a lot better just by staying in our own lane, per se.
Oh, yeah. You got to race the track and the weather and do your thing and just hope it's enough. In your situation, it's heads up, right? So you put everything you think it'll take in it when you need to. There's some people that you don't have to have it full tilt, but there's like Rodney, you better have all the candles burning. It's one of them things.
Yeah, and I think what you said about the, putting it in perspective, that's something Dustin and I have said many times already on these various shows, and it's something that I know we both learned, kind of the same way. I had to take a year or two off, and I got into side-by-sides because it was to the point where I'd go, to leave on Wednesday or Thursday, Jason, close my trailer door and be like, damn, I'm going racing again. It's like, what?
Yeah,
like, what kind of perspective is that you're like not thrilled to go racing? So sometimes you got to take a step back and find out what's important. So.
I think the biggest thing on our show is about making sure that you're having a good time. Make sure you're having fun. No matter if you're winning or losing, everybody wants to win, right? Winning makes it funner. But if you can have fun without it, then the winning's just, the cherry on top, if you happen to get lucky enough to do so.
Yeah.
The hardest part about my situation is in Pro Street. I've been in it now for a while, and we've been close to winning and close to being at the top. And, in any sport, it's tougher to stay on top than it is to get there.
Yeah.
I consider us still to this day, as an outsider looking in, as a guy fighting hard in the class, I've worked really, really hard to get better. And I lost a ton of weight, worked out every day. I talked to Andy, we tested, we basically said it's now or never.
Right.
And I think for the outside, the average person looking at me in my situation, they look at me as kid spoiled brat, gets whatever he wants, thinks he can write a check and win races. And I won't lie to you. At some point, you think you have the best equipment in the world, you can win a race. But with our situation moving forward, we didn't really have the best equipment. I believe we have the best tuner and the best team, but getting that to work is still hard. I mean, especially with a multi-bike team. And, Frankie Stotts is one of my best friends in the whole world. I love him to death. And, when it was just him and I, we really, really got the attention. And Andy, it's not that Andy wasn't giving me the attention, because he's got the brain knowledge and he's got the work ethic. But when you get 4 bikes on there, the best you can do is 25% a bike.
Right.
When it was just me and Frankie, we were gaining at a high level and he was learning. And Andy, the Brandy Andy thing. Brandy's made Andy, suggested at home by his pool. Andy will put the runs on his big screen and go through the computer. And, he's not making mistakes that we used to make. And, I make mistakes, he makes mistakes. And I'm gonna tell you right now, we have shut the doors in that trailer and basically done everything but fist fought. The difference from us 10 years ago to today is we all love each other. We all care about each other. We really all want the same goal. And when we walk out of the trailer, people have hurt feelings. And I remember me and Andy were really upset one day, and we get to the bike. He's on one side and I'm on the other. And we were screaming at each other, yelling. And I said, "You were right. I was wrong. I'm sorry." And he said, "Well, you were right, but you were wrong how you told me." And, we sit there and we turn wrenches and we work through it. And in a matter of minutes, it was all gone.
Yeah. Cold beer later, everything's good.
100%. And, Rodney's got us. He's still the cream of the crop. but the thing is, the outsiders looking in, they're like, oh, Rodney's got you guys this, Rodney's got you this. But when you look at the numbers and you go round by round, Rodney won 4 rounds last year and the year before on hole shots. So he was there for the taking. People get up there and they race Rodney because he's Rodney. Right. And one thing we have tried to do is don't turn the bike up. Do what you can do and make him beat you. And if he beats you, shake his hand and move on. But
and kill the tree. Like, you got to do your job there. Yep.
100%. And every final I've ran Rodney, we've left the same.
Yeah.
And I told Andy, and I think my biggest problem is when you lose for so long, we lost for a long time. And whether, doesn't matter whose fault it is, but, I got in a funk where I wasn't racing to win. I was racing not to lose. And that's not a race. That's not a way to race either. You're like, well, I just want to lead with him. I don't want to red light. I don't want to give it away. And I think that mindset screwed me up a little bit. And it took some grit again to get back to it, and it's racing with my kids makes me 10 times more nervous than ever being in the water box with Rodney. And Rodney's beat us numerous times, and I beat him in the beginning, and he's the top. He probably is the GOAT because, and we argue about Jeremy Teasley and Rodney Williford, but Rodney Williford 100% builds his 100% of his own stuff, and he rides it himself. Yeah. He's one of the few that 100% does it all. Yeah. And that, in my eyes, is the GOAT.
Well, he's the man of all things. Like, he's builder, tuner, rider. And I mean, he always figures it out. A rule change comes, he's still there trying to go fast. And he's been doing it forever.
Yeah, and I mean, from my perspective, and maybe Dustin will say something, or maybe you'll have a little bit different perspective as well, Jason. But from my outside looking in, since I've never been involved in Pro Street, but I've always been a fan. I remember. I feel like there was a good time period. I'm talking a couple of years at least, where Rodney would either go ridiculously fast or almost crash. And I mean, like, I'm not saying because he couldn't ride. I'm saying because it was always on the edge of just wheeling and up and down and wheeling and blowing. I just feel like, to me at least, but my memory could be messed up. But I feel like, you went up to watch Rodney either make a hell of a pass or just not even get down the track for whatever reason. So, I feel like he's definitely, progressed his program as well, to kind of get to that point where he's just clicking off good passes. It seems pretty routinely now.
Yeah, I think
he is.
Go ahead.
He's wreckers or checkers. He's all in, and whether you love him or hate him. And in the beginning, I would say we had some. I don't want to call it beef, but I don't think he liked me very much, and I didn't really like him. And it wasn't because of anything, but I wanted to beat him.
Right.
And George Rice used to tell me, I'm like, well, I get a little nervous to race Rodney. I get a little amped up, and he goes, when you see him qualify, get next to him, make it a habit. Just get next to him, wait for him. That way, when you get him, it's your thing, it's not uncommon. And, because you're like, oh my God, he's here. And, he's going to run good. But then you're like, you know what? Fuck, we're running good too.
That's right.
And I think when you started to see my change was Andy really got my bike stable. And my bike used to go crooked all the time. I remember Dimmy and I would fight about it. And I'm like, Dimmy, it's not going straight. He's like, well, what if I change all this and it doesn't go straight? And I said, then I'll quit. I'm not mad at you, but I can't do it. But I said, I used to be able to do it. So, and I'll tell you right now, we changed the frame, the swing arm, and the subframe. Went out to the first race and it went dead straight. Then we started going 220 miles an hour. And I'll tell you right now, Matt Smith came over and looked at the chassis because it wasn't going as good as it could. And Matt Smith made a suggestion about the body work, and we built it. And the minute we built that to his pro stock bike, Matt and Angie came over and looked at the bike, and they suggested some body pairings, and we added them. We made them. And the minute we did that, and I swear to God, we went 230 like it was our job. And if you look at all the Pro Street average mile an hour, my average mile an hour is 230. The next closest person is 222 average. We back half. Rodney's got us up front where it matters. But we went a 209 back half last year, which would be the fastest ever. So we're moving out the back. And I think this year we'll have the front licked. But when you see me going 230 every pass consistently, you're like, man, they have it figured out. But Andy has made me super confident, super comfortable. I feel like we're a low 50, high 40 off the trailer, which is pretty impressive. I mean, Rodney's low 30s or high 30s, low 40s off the trailer. We're not there yet. But, I would say truthfully, we're number 2 or 3 in the class, and I can live like that. I like to slug them out. So, I just want to be competitive. That's all I ever
exactly. Nobody wants to go to race and not have a chance. You know what I mean? And that now you feel like that you got a shot, and that's the humble pie can wear you down. Like if you deal with losing, then you're eating the humble pie, and then finally you get a win, and it just puts wind in your sail, and it's really good for your confidence and your everything mental. Because it's all mental, just like you were talking about having your head straight when you race Rodney. That's a mental thing that you just got to have out the window, pretty much.
Yeah, and you're talking about talking about racing people, and maybe not at first, y'all kind of had differences. Hell, you're talking to two people that Dustin and I went through the ups and downs. We were super tight, and then we raced like a bunch of idiots for a couple years trying to beat Banff and see who was better. And I finally figured out that I was just not as good as Dustin. So now we're best friends again.
You're just smarter than me.
Well, I think you both have accolades in different areas that make you both pretty badass. I mean, and I'm not just saying it because I'm on your podcast. I mean, Dustin is a guy and I'll tell you flat out, Dustin's going to get mad at me when I say this, and maybe you too, but I hate bracket racing. But then, then I started racing with my kid, and Mark Paquette, who I didn't like either. I called him about junior dragster racing, and he's like, but this is what I love about racers. I call him, and we didn't really like each other. I called him, he talked to me for a couple hours, and he said, you're going to hate it at first, but you're going to appreciate it once you learn it. And I'll tell you right now, when you say learn it, now I'm trying to teach Brady, how to race, and in teaching your family, like, listen, Brady, you got to tree him, and then you got to, race him to the stripe. And he's like, well, as long as I'm ahead of him, I'm like, well, nah, you can't just be ahead of him, and you got to be this and this. And I'm telling you right now, I'm addicted to it with him and the kids, and I have a total different appreciation for what you guys do. I truly believe what you do is harder than what I do.
Well, we got to do math going down the racetrack. You got to hold the hell on.
Yeah. And I joke about that with Andy earlier in the week. I talked to Andy, and I'm like, when I look at Gabe, or not Gabe, but Gage, I'm like, he's a perfect pro stock rider because he doesn't get rattled at all. Nope. He is as mellow and chill as you could be, where I'm amped up and, like I may bend the handlebars back. He just goes with the flow, and, he's going to do what he can do. But on the other side, I look at pro stock, and I'm like, I can only imagine riding a bike where I think it is very difficult to ride, but I'm like, I can only imagine riding something where I wouldn't have to have wheeling in my mind, because in Pro Street, they wheelie every pass. So you're like, is it going to wheelie? Is it not? Is it going straight? Oh wait, there's a shift light. Oh wait, override. Am I late? Did I leave on time? And it's a pretty cool class, and I never dreamed it would be to where it is today. Right. And the speed in ETs, I remember Ronnie Mitchell and I talking like 700 or 7 seconds, 720s, may be the limit. And now look at us.
Well, shit, I think I seen Frankie post, it might have been today or yesterday. Frankie posted a video or some shit, and I think it was only 10 or 11 years old. And he said, I think it was like fastest Pro Street pass ever, and it was like 720. I literally thought to myself as I saw that post, I'm like, I got a bike sitting in my garage that I bracket race right now that will run 690 if I want it to. I don't. I went 730s on it and then started turning it down last year. But I'm like, that was 10, 12 years ago. And Frankie's posting, 720 was like, and I remember, that's kind of when I really got involved in the motorcycle drag racing. And that was it. Pro Street was running 20s, when I kind of got really into it, and, an occasional teen, and then it just kept creeping down. And then, like I said, now I'm looking at a bike that I could run 690 if I wanted to and bracket race it. It's a bracket bike. So
technology's crazy, man. It's changed so much.
Yeah, it really is.
Well,
it really is.
And I think deep down, when you look at Pro Street in general, you got Steve Nichols in the Max ECU. And I think one reason why you see the class where it is today, whether you love or hate Steve, I love Steve. He's a family man. I love
Steve.
He's very good to me and always has been. And there again, our relationship with Steve, when I first met him with Barry, it didn't start out very good because, he wasn't interested in helping me. And it wasn't anything he was doing wrong. It was just his business motto. And to be frank, it sucked. And when he started the Max ECU, I think his life had changed. And I'll tell you flat out, he came to me to help me basically free of charge because he wanted to see me do well. And he's like, I've watched you. You've struggled. I'm willing to help you. If you do, if you want my help. And, he didn't charge me anything. He was just a good dude. And but the big thing about him is there's no secrets. It's very transparent. And when you want something built in ECU, you don't have to go through this huge process and take all these classes. His support is at the track, and he's willing to help you.
Yep.
And the other thing that's helped us a lot is my weight package is air clutch, because I can run a little weight on the front to get me going and then lock the clutch up when I want. And that's really helped us be consistent. And that's where the 209 and the 230s come from, because we can lock it up with air, but it takes, about 130 pounds to lock it up with my big ass on there. So, it's a learning curve for sure. And I wouldn't be anywhere I without my dad, number one, helping me, because like I said, I'm very blessed that he helps me fund it. But Brandy, Andy, and Dimmy, they've been very good to me. And everybody looks at us and says, well, we know why they're together. They got money. Dimmy's got money. And honestly, we have a great time at the racetrack. Like, we kind of talk all the time. We're like, you don't see me or Dimmy or Andy very often leave our trailer. We miss each other during the year, and like we get 4 days to spend each other. We normally sit at the trailer and, talk about life. Dimmy's got kids.
I mean, hell, me and Ben usually end up hanging out with y'all most of the time. We come up there and hang out all the time, so.
We know that if we wanted to come see y'all, we had to come down, because like you said, y'all are happily content down there, and it's great, and everybody knows to come down and hang out and talk with y'all. And like you said, that's kind of where it's at. I mean, you can tell, you can just ride by the DME pits, and I mean, without some engine thrash or some maintenance deal that's last minute, generally everybody's just laughing and smiling and having a damn good time, which, you don't always see. You pointed that out earlier.
They be eating a lot. I catch that. I'm like, oh man, I got to go over there.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, my dad came from a family of 12. He has 6 brothers and 5 sisters. And big Catholic family. They had 14 people in their house at one point. My grandpa and grandma were the lifeline of my life. And to be truthful, the one person I would want to see me today with my children would be my grandpa, because I was so close with him and my dad's dad. And he was a good man. He used to say things like, my whole life I worked to be rich so I could share it with everybody, because that's what all matters to me. And, awesome. And I see my dad is a Sunday dinner type. So it's very important to my dad at the racetrack. And Dimmy's dad was the same way, is we have dinner at the racetrack. So we've always made it a habit to have dinner together, because we talk about everything. And, I joke about it all the time. When we first started racing, it's like, well, we'd go out and we'd, go to the bars. You go do the fun things after the racetrack. And, now you open a drawer in my toolbox, you find Hot Wheels, sidewalk chalk, and sunscreen. I'm like, it's really changed full circle. And it's for the better, don't get me wrong. But it's very different.
Well, I'll tell you something.
And I took Brady.
Go ahead.
I started taking Brady to the racetrack when he was 2 on my own. My dad never did that. He was almost out of diapers, and I took him because he wanted to be with me. And I've never stopped taking him. In 7 years, he's missed 2 races. And I don't like it when he's not there.
Well, yeah, that's the way I am with my family.
Yeah, and like that, I feel like that was a good thing to do. I mean, I as of today, I now have a 5-month-old, and like he's going to the track in 2 weeks. Barring something crazy, but he's going to the track in 2 weeks, so he won't even be 6 months. But whether that's too young or not, I mean, when you started bringing Brady, like. He's a celebrity now, man. Like,
that kid's
might not
everywhere.
even barely talk to you, and like everybody's just always like Brady. Like, I mean, it's it's a big family. Looking out for everybody.
I think Brady tunes Rodney's bike.
Go ahead.
I started to say earlier about your old man, there isn't many people in this world that I would, if my bike was burning to the ground and I see Mr. Dunigan, I would go shake his hand before I put my fire out. Like, if I see him and I have to stop and say hi, like he's, in my mind, he's one of the greatest people ever. And I respect him a whole hell of a lot. And I always make sure if he's at the track that I say hi and shake his hand the first time I see him, just because I just want him to know that I respect him, you know?
Yeah, agreed 100%. I try to do the same thing. And it's always, I don't know, it's just like now don't get me wrong. Like, we love seeing you. We give you a hug, joke with you, talk shit, you know, whatever. But like, as Dustin said, it's just different. It's like, it's just a good, warm feeling when we see your dad and get to say, hey, Mr. Dunigan, how are you? And shake his hand. And he, you know, it's just really cool. And I think, you know, Dustin will probably say the same thing, but I think it's almost like it's like a proud moment that, you know, we get to say hi and he acknowledges us, you know?
Yeah, for sure. He is, in my mind, like the king. And I just respect him so much. And to be honest, I'm jealous. I wish my parents would come to the racetrack and support me and do all that stuff. So I kind of guess I'm like, oh, there's Mr. Dunigan. And I'll park my scooter in the middle of the midway and go shake his hand and say hi every time. Like, it's just, I don't know. Like, I'm just thinking about it gets me like, oh, I got to go do that. Like, it gets me excited. But he's a good man, and anybody you hang out with long enough, you're going to argue with him. I know you said you guys has argued or whatever, but you respect him as a dad. You're blessed, and he's top notch for me.
Well, and a lot of the stuff we argued about was when I first joined DME, and you know, the treatment we were getting by the engine builder. And I'm not going to go into big time about that because it's water under the bridge and you learn from it. But, you know, he was just, it's tough when he's in your ear telling you, you know, you're not getting what you think you're getting. And, you know, with DME and Dimmy, I'll tell you flat out, the reason that we are what we are today is because we went through, we really went through hell.
Yep.
We went through hell and we came out on the other side. And, you know, I'll tell you flat out, without getting into the business side of it, Dimmy sent me a bill, and he said, he sent me a bill at the end of the year, and he said, pay what you want because I know you didn't get it. And we fired a guy that wasn't giving it to you. And he goes, and we went through the motors and realized that you weren't getting what what we thought you were getting. And Dimmy's like, so I don't care if you don't pay the bill at all, but we're going to race next year. And he goes, if you give me zero, I'm going to be there. If you give me some of it, I'm going to be there. So don't put any pressure on it. And I remember talking to my dad, and I said, you know, I'm going to pay some of the bill. And he goes, pay all the bill. And I said, but we didn't get it. He goes, but, you know, they're making it right. And he said, we don't want to handcuff them. They were in the beginning. And, you know, when I first started racing, they had a littler trailer. Not that they needed us, but, you know, we did some business deals together, and, you know, Dimmy trusted me. And he said, you know, do what you got to do and pay what you want. And I paid the whole bill. And Dimmy called me and was like, why would you do that? And I said, because, you know, we don't want to start off on a bad note. Let's just start fresh. And, you know, you give me your word that you're going to be this, this, and this. And he said, yep. And I said, well, then I'll take you for face value. And I'll tell you flat out, ever since that day, we've never looked back, and we've gotten better every year. And, you know, when it come to his hauler, everything like that, he expanded his life and made himself a better person and got a bigger hauler, and his business has doubled, not because of any other reason than him and Andy and Brandy and the staff that he has. Dimmy and Andy and DME have done everything they've done because of them, not me. Right. I just get to be along for the ride and have fun. You know, they build a clean motorcycle, and you can say what you want. You take the body work off that bike, it looks like an Indy car. You would think it, and I know it sounds bad. You think it should win every race, but there's more to it. But
yeah,
you know, it's a work of art. And the one reason I enjoy it more than ever is I feel very safe on the motorcycle. You know, with 3 kids, I still want to come home.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I've always looked at those bikes and going, one day I'm just going to be able to tell them just to build me a bike. You know what I mean? Just build me one, because, and to be honest, Demi would be on board to do that for me. You know what I mean? And it's just, they're always top notch. DME does not build a bad build. I've never seen an ugly bike ever. You know, they're always super nice. And Andy's a big part of DME. A lot of people don't, you know, I don't think they acknowledge that enough. Like, we need to clone him. We need like 5 Andys, you know. And I deal with DME every day. The staff, the girls, you know, everybody there is amazing. I couldn't ask for a better company to deal with. To be honest, they're one of the easiest companies that I deal with, and it's smooth sailing. I mean, I talk to them more than I do my old lady during the day. You know what I mean? I call them girls multiple times a day. So they got it going right, and Demi works really hard. They work over all the time. You know, they put the time in.
Yeah. Man, I mean, that was a great example. I'm glad you shared that, because that just really shows, you know, both sides, you know, with, you know, him sending you a bill and saying, you know, pay whatever you think you got your money's worth. And then I just love the fact that you and your dad were like, you know, we're going to start fresh, and the only way to do that is to just get this paid, and we're all on a clean slate. So that's
yeah,
really
you put
cool.
it behind you. That was I mean, I wouldn't expect anything else out of those two.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Surprised one bit.
Nope.
Man, I got to touch on something that you said like a little bit ago, and it's kind of jumping around a little bit, but man, when I went land speed racing, I don't know, when you think, Dustin, like 7 years ago?
Yeah, probably.
Whenever I went land speed racing years ago, like, it completely opened my eyes and mind to aerodynamics, which has never really been a big part of my racing. You know, I've raced real street a couple times here and there, but just, you know, still it's not the same thing. And to go land speed racing and learn what I learned in just one event about aerodynamics, like, that's something I've been saying for the last couple years. I mean, the speeds that you all get to in Pro Street now are completely mind-boggling. And like, I guess I feel like I'm sure everybody knows now, but to me, for the longest time, I'm like, aerodynamics play a huge part, because I couldn't, when I went to my land speed event, that was the only one I've ever been to, you know, Jason, I couldn't get over 190 without the bike starting to roll over until I took fairings off. And when somebody told me that, I was like, that's a dumb idea. Like, this is supposed to be an aerodynamic motorcycle, right? Take the side fairings off, boom, straight as an arrow. So, you know, just, I don't want to get in too much and share too many secrets, but, you know, I'm not surprised one bit by, you know, Matt and Angie coming up, and then y'all all putting, you know, your heads together and saying, hey, we got some aero stuff going on here, because that makes sense.
And I mean, when you look at Gage's bike, Gage would have been a good one to ask. Gage has some problems with his bike going to the left, and I know your boys Spencer has it now, and it's no secret. You know, there's a lot of guys in the class. You know, there's 10 different ways to skin a cat, and what works for somebody else may not work for me. You know, the Willifords have always run the old body work. They have a handle on the old body work. They like it better. You know, everybody has like their pair of slippers they like, and they like that. And, you know, Demi likes to stay in the cutting edge. So if new bodywork comes out, that's his business. He's going to build it.
Right.
And, you know, I'll tell you what it was, because I don't care. Demi sells them now, but Matt and Angie came over like, that bike needs an air dam. And, you know, Andy's like, well, you know, the air is going to go through the handlebars. And he goes, but it's going to go over the top of him. And, you know, we argued about it. And this is the advantage to having my bike at DME in North Carolina versus Jackson, Michigan. You know, we're famous for a fucking prison and a track. So, you know, you try to find carbon fiber in Jackson, Michigan. It may be as hard to find that in Dustin's hometown as in mine. But, you know, Demi had it made and molded within 3 days. Yeah. And we tested, and it was an air dam. And Matt Smith, he's a 6-time champ for a reason. He was right. And the minute we put the air dam on there, the bike started going straight. And Gage had a problem. Obviously, you saw him hit the wall with that in with his, you know, semi pipes on there. And he put the air dam on there. And he came over and was like, I told him at the end of the track, I said, you need the air dam, you know, and because at the end of the day, there are secrets, but, you know, you have eyeballs. You look at my bike, you'd see it. And, you know, Gage came over and I said, I'll buy it. If it don't work, you can just give it back. And he put it on and started going dead straight. He's like, dude, you changed the way that bike runs. Well, and for a bigger guy like me, and at the end of the day, we're competitors, but I still want people to be safe. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I don't want to hold something like that in when people can see it. And Demi sold it. It's Demi's business, but, you know, he wanted to market it and sell it, but we wanted to make sure it worked first too.
Well, and I mean, what you said there, though, I mean, yeah, you know, you guys figured it out or whatever and come up with something. But I mean, that's, you said it right before I could say it. That's just more of a safety thing, and to openly share that, just because, like you said, see a fellow competitor or friend, brush the wall, and like people having issues with that. I mean, at the end of the day, do you want to see people, scrubbing the wall every other pass, or do you want to make clean hits and just, like you said, have a dogfight to the end? So, just sharing that info. That's
as a fat man, I don't think about aerodynamics too much, but not long ago, me and a guy was at SCBA racing, and I said, I were to have Vanson put dimples in my leathers like a golf ball. It might help me.
Unless you're Matt Smith, and then you get banned from it.
Yeah.
No shit.
But I mean, when you look at Pro Street as a whole, when I first started racing, we were going, 150, 160 to the eighth. Rodney and I are in the high 180s, and I know Rodney's got a time slip where he went 190 something and I went 192. I don't really believe those, but I believe that we've been in the high 80s. Consistently we're 185 in the eighth, and I think that's what made me a better rider is the aerodynamics package is better. But Andy and Brandy and Daddy-O and my team. I mean, Daddy-O, I wouldn't be anywhere without him. And Brandy's videotaped every pass I ever made, and we critique it. And making me a better rider at the other end of the track, we just did it backwards. We went from the finish line. Everybody focuses on the 60 foot, which I agree, it's important. But we went from 1320 and worked our way back because we were spinning a lot trying to hit it hard, and we didn't want to be wreckers or checkers. So we said, all right, we're going to back half this bad boy, and we're going to slowly come back for it. And it really helped us be consistent. We were low 40s, mid 40s, high 40s, low 50s. We went in the 30s once. And, we were consistently better because we went from the other end. And, I don't know if there's a right or wrong way. It just worked for us.
Everybody's different. And I mean, you guys done it right. You tuned the back and then just creeped into it. And when you get that front half right, they better look out. You know what I mean? When you finally get the front half, and there's power there, you just got to figure out how to make it work. And when you do, it's going to be really fast.
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead.
I do believe that this year we found what our issue has been up front, and getting old sucks. I mean, I used to be, I look at every reaction time in the class and average it out at the end of the year. And, Brandy, she is probably my best friend in the whole world besides Daddy-O. And she's fucking ruthless. I mean, you'll come back and she'll say,
we both know.
She'll say, yeah. I mean, all you guys know. Yeah. But I mean, she makes me better. She's like, don't come in the trailer. And I'm like, why? She's like, with an 050 light, you don't belong in here. I'm like, 050? And you don't belong in here. And I'm like, I'm going to look up the reaction times when you used to race. She's like, well, they're horrible, I'll tell you. But that doesn't mean you should be. And, I turned 41 next month, and I remember being at World Cup, and I had LASIK when I was 23. And this year at World Cup, I was looking at the tree, and I'm like, I was closing one eye on the starting line as I was staging against Rodney, and I'm like, I can't see the tree very well. And I closed one eye, and I'm like, well, I can see it better. So, and then I started playing men's league hockey again this year, and I'm like, I can't see the puck anymore. And I went and got my eyes tested, and apparently I'm blind again. So I got some contacts now. I feel like I should be a little better now that I can see. And I'm like, maybe I won't hit so many cones this year.
Those trophies, though, you take them home when you hit them, right? You got to buy them damn things.
Oh, shit.
And
hey.
My shop, if I'm paying for it, I'm taking it with me. I told that to Miller. Right. I said, and it was the weekend we debuted the orange body, and I blew a hole in the side of it. And I told my dad, I'm like, I'm going to pay for that one. And he goes, you go 45 or better, and I'll pay for it. And I said, deal. And we went to 43. So he was happy.
That's awesome. Well, hey, look, you don't have near the amount of gray I do. So, you got that going on. So
he got that Pantene going on. Shit.
I wish I could tell you that I dyed my hair, because I'll be truthful. I don't.
No,
and I look for gray hair all the time. I get it in my beard, but I don't get it in my hair at all yet. But I'm a guy that likes to stay up on my body. So if it was gray, I may make it go away, but I haven't had to yet. I will tell you that.
Them two little girls, it's coming.
Trust me. Oh yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. But hey, trust me, don't even worry about that. Like, I'm a little bit younger than you, but have a tremendous amount more gray, and like it'll get bad. I'm saying like one time you'll be in the shower and you just be, washing with bar soap on your chest or something. And you're like, oh, what's that? That's kind of shining. And you're like, you gotta be shitting me. I got a gray chest hair. And then you're like, all right, my life's over.
I'm very lucky because my dad has a pretty good head of hair for 75, 74.
Uh-huh.
He's not all gray yet, but I come from a family of good hair at least. So, I'm going to hold on to it for dear life because with ears like mine, you can't have bad hair too, so it's like a double negative. And then you put a big nose in front of it. It's like, it's a double negative. So I got to keep the hair and the tan on check because otherwise I got nothing.
Hey, I'm with you. I don't even care that I have gray because, like you said, it's better to have hair that I could color if I wanted to. But that's always an option. If you don't have hair, you don't have hair. So that is what it is.
Yeah, on my part, it just the shit I've been through. Look at this gray hair. Yeah, that's what it is.
Hey, I want to say something too. You've only raced Pro Street for what now? 10, 12, 15 years? I mean, how long?
10 years, 12, probably 10 years. I've been with DME, 8 or 9 of them.
Yeah. I have seen you ride Daddy-O's bike in Crazy 8s before at Indy.
And I was horrible. Horrible.
Yeah, you was.
I mean, and I joke with Daddy-O because I needed a redo. And Daddy-O he is a brother to me. And out of all the things Ronnie Mitchell ever did for me, and I know I'm talking a lot, but
you're good, man.
The only thing Ronnie, I joke with Ronnie, and Ronnie and I's relationship got bad and then got good. And I do love him for who he is. But I met Daddy-O racing with Ronnie, and I called Daddy-O. 2 of the toughest phone calls I had to make. To give you a quick clip notes, I called DME to buy, when I left Valdosta, I was going to hire Walter Sprout and build my own bike with DME, and Walter Sprout was going to tune it because I was sick of all these other tuners, and I'd been run through the ringer, and I've had bad luck with Kenny Compton, Andrew Pierce. Not they're bad guys, they just couldn't do it. Right. And I left the track, and I called Dimmy, and I said, "Why don't you build me a front rack?" And I talked to him, and he goes, "Nah, I mean, Dimmy's not a salesman, but he is. He's like secretly undercover." And I go, "Hey, I'm going to build a front." I go, "I'm going to build a front rack," and he goes, "No, you're not." And I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You're going to build a whole bike with me." And I said, "And then what?" He goes, "Then you're going to race it, and I'm going to tune it, and I'm going to do everything for you. You're going to show up and ride it." And I said, "Well, I don't think that works. I'm going to do team bikes and all this stuff." He goes, "That's what we're going to do." And I remember I hung up. My dad's like, "Did you order the front rack?" And I said, "Well, I think I bought a whole bike." And he goes, "What do you mean?" He goes, "We have a bike." And I go, "But I think I bought another one." And so I called Terry McIntosh. Terry McIntosh gave me everything from nothing. And he was a friend of mine.
Uh-huh.
And I remember calling him. The minute I hung up with Dimmy, I called Terry. And I remember I cried. And I said, "Terry, this is the hardest phone call." I was 28 or 29. And I said, "This is the hardest phone call I've ever had to make." And I said, "I want to let you know that I'm switching to DME. They're going to build me a bike, and I'll give you all of your stuff back that you've ever given me." And he said, "Why?" And I said, "Because they can tune the bike and the engines, and I can't." And I was at a pivotal point. And I said, "I know it's probably going to end our friendship, but it's what's best for me." And he goes, "Jason, I love you, and I'll be your friend, and I'll be your fan, and I hope that you do well." And I remember talking to Terry a couple of years later. We were at the track, and he said, "Had you not made that phone call, we probably would never speak again." And I didn't want Terry to hear it from somebody else because it would have hurt more.
Right.
And it was very hard for me. And that's one thing, just the kind of guy Dimmy is. I called Dimmy, and I said, I called Dimmy back, and I said, "Hey, I talked to my dad, and, it's a go, but here's the problem. Daddy-O, I raced with Daddy-O. He's with me." And I said, "So I can't just come alone." And Dimmy goes, "Well, that's okay. Bring him." And I said, "Well, you got to understand this. He has a bike and a bench, and, he's going to be under the tent." And he goes, "What's your problem with it?" And I said, "Well, it's not my problem. That's your problem. You can't do that. And I can't expect you that." He goes, "Well, bring him. Let's do it together." And it made me feel like
family, man.
It was he did it for the right reasons. And so I called Daddy-O, and I said, "Hey, I'm going to DME." And he said, "All right." And he said, "I'll buy a trailer and I'll start meeting you at the racetrack? And I said, no. We worked it all out. It's a package deal. And he goes, you're kidding me. And I go, no, we're going together. And, he was humbled, and he was going through cancer. And I used to keep a calendar in my office, and I'd call him every time he had chemo. And I would say, hey, you got 8 left. You got 7 left. You're going to beat it. You're going to beat it. And I'd go see him in Chicago, and I tried riding his motorcycle, and he blames a broken clutch, but I didn't do very well on it. You have to put the kickstand up, and it's got a kickstand. I'm like, this is way too much. I mean, my bike doesn't have any of that shit. I'm like, this is way too much stuff to operate. I'm like, you got 4 or 5 buttons on there when I'm just good with 3. And he laughed, and it's one thing. It's like we talk about racing. He's from Chicago. I'm from Michigan. Ronnie Mitchell. We met each other through Ronnie Mitchell, and I haven't been to a race other than World Cup a couple of times because Daddy-O had some deaths in his family, but I haven't been to a race without Daddy-O in 9 years.
Right.
And he is my brother from another mother. And, he jokes that I'm the darkest guy on the team, and he's still lighter skinned than I am, but he is one of my very best friends in the whole world. And we fit in very well together because he'll do anything for anybody.
That's another person that will always, if they make eye contact with you, he'll come over to me and we'll shake hands, and it's always good to see him. Like, he is a genuine person. He is very caring, and I'm a Daddy-O fan myself. Like, I've always got along with Daddy-O so good, and I'm excited just to see everybody in a week. It's gonna be awesome.
I don't feel like anybody could not love Daddy-O. In fact, I fucking hate racing Daddy-O because if I do win, I freaking feel bad. Like, no shit. Like, I'm not going to intentionally lose, but I literally feel bad if I race Daddy-O and win, because like he's running Top Sportsman, Dustin and I are running Top Sportsman. Inevitably, we lock up sometimes, and it's like at the top end, I'm not even happy because if I beat Daddy-O, because like, damn, like, it's freaking crazy.
Well,
that's how much kind of respect we have for him.
Teaching your children, I think, we all have kids, and they all come to the racetrack. I mean, Ben, your little kid's going to come to the racetrack now, and I think teaching them to beat your friends is a valuable lesson too. Teaching Brady. It's been hard for me with the car because I'm learning, and I go there every night and I work on the car, and I kneel next to the car, and when I screw up, it's a hard moment for a dad because,
right.
I dial him in, and, we were learning last year, and, the biggest race of the year, we get in the final, he cuts a 005 light and he breaks out. And I go down the finish line and he's crying in the car.
Yeah.
And you feel like, you all have kids. I feel like the biggest puddle of mud you could imagine. And I basically have tears in my eyes because I feel like I let him down. I kneel next to the car. Every time he loses, he won't get out of the car. I kneel next to the car and I said, what happened? I went too fast. You made me go too fast. And I said, well, and at one, he's half right. And I said, he was 8. And I said, you're half right. I said, but I got to teach you how to race. And that's my job too. And I said, I did dial you in. I did do this. And I said, Dad screws up. I said, but 2 races ago, you red lighted. And I didn't make you feel the way you made me feel right now. And he's like, you're right. And I said, so we either got to get out of the car and go back to the trailer and get better, or just suck it up and admit we're losers. And he goes, well, I want to get better. And I go, me too. And I said, it's hard for me, but nobody's going to outwork me and nobody's going to outwork you. So that's where we got to get to.
Yep.
And I think that, Brady's beat his best friend on the track twice, 2-0 this year. And the kid has got out and shook his hand every time. And, Brady one time, lost to a kid he didn't really like, and he wouldn't shake his hand. And I said, if you don't get out of this car and shake that kid's hand, this shit will be gone tomorrow.
Yeah.
You learn how to win good and you learn how to lose good.
You got to learn to lose before you can win.
And that's the same thing with we talked about Rodney and my rivalry. And, Daddy-O and I talk about you and, you, Ben, and Teasley, and a lot of those bracket guys. He's like, I got Dustin this round. And, what I look forward to with Daddy-O is, which is the ideal way to look at it, is Daddy-O runs his best ET and his best reaction time of the day against you guys. And he doesn't win all the time, but he's elevated you guys make everybody better, because if you don't, you're losing.
Oh yeah.
And I look at Daddy-O, and he gets better every time he races you guys, whether he wins or loses. And at the end of the day, you're still friends. If I told Daddy-O, do you want to beat these guys? He'd say, F yeah, I want to beat them.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah, because we all want to win.
But it's absolutely, we're not there to lose.
No.
But you guys make everybody better. And if you look at a guy on the outside, number 32 qualifies against Dustin Lee, number 1. And he races you and beats you and loses every round and loses the next round no matter what. The only highlight of his weekend was, I beat Dustin Lee. I beat Ben Knight. I had the time step where I beat them.
Buddy, we know all about that life.
5 rounds. Right.
Yeah.
And that right there means that you two, and I'm not just saying it because I'm on your podcast, that means you two are on the top, because that's what it matters. And a guy like Rodney Williford, I want to be there. I don't want to say we're there yet, but I can tell you this, we're fucking close. And I can live with that.
Oh, yeah. Me and Ben, we race each other. It's going to be a dog fight. Somebody's getting their ass whooped. We're best friends after, but on that racetrack, it's real.
For sure. And I appreciate those words. I mean, Dustin and I both, we've no shit had people, fist bumping in the shutdown, and just you're like, damn, did they just win the lottery or something? And then they go up and lose the next round, and you said, they're happy as a motherfucker. And it's like that was third round, and they beat you, and it's like, damn, I was like, I wish I got that happy. But you said, it's just you go through it, and different levels, different times. Hell, Dustin was upset he didn't win 3 classes the other weekend.
Man, I was
3 finals, but like you said, it's all perspective, And at the end of the day, I made up when I took my little break and came back. I said, I'm gonna have make damn sure I have fun, and I'll be honest. I don't have to tell y'all because y'all know, and Dustin and I have talked about it. We almost need an after hours show, but I make sure I have fun, and y'all know that now. It was a point where I might have a beer or something, and I go right to bed or study stuff all night. It's like, I'm going to hang out with my friends. When I go to bed, I go to bed.
My favorite part of the racetrack is the after hours of racing. It always has been, always will be.
Let's be honest. Racing brings us together. Yep. It's something we do, but it's not what we do. We're all a group of guys, and, we may not all disagree all the time, but racing brings us together. And Andy's from North Carolina, Demi's from North Carolina, Brandy's from, Ohio, Daddy-O's from Chicago, Frankie's from Chicago, Mark that's racing this year is from Oklahoma, and Jason Greenman's going to race this year from Aruba. What sport besides racing brings people like that together?
That's what I tell everybody. That's why all these series is a big deal, because people come from all over the country to do it. It's crazy.
And not that you needed me as a fan, Ben, but where you got me as a fan is when you rode the Platinum bike in Real Street and won that class. That was where you rode Ralphie's bike. That just showed the quality of rider you were, and then I knew you could ride, but when you start riding somebody else's stuff and you go like that, that was pretty impressive. That made a fan out of me for life.
That was Ben's bread and butter right there. Gen 2 clutch, all motor, shoot. That was his cup of tea.
I appreciate that, Jason, but don't let it fool you too much. That was like a bracket bike to me. Hell, I would dial that thing in tomorrow. I could tell you what it's going to run at the first XDA. That thing was, like Dustin said, it was like peanut butter and jelly. I actually was pretty upset at the second race, because I definitely felt like I let everybody down, just because I bombed in the final. I had a terrible light. In the first race, I had a ridiculously good light. So appreciate that. Hey, what I was going to say a little bit earlier when I was saying how long have you been racing only Pro Street, my point was going to be this. Maybe you haven't won as much as you wanted or as much as you'd like to show, but I tell people this all the time. Me and Dustin, we don't race as many classes as we used to, but there's a point in time where we would race 4 or 5 freaking classes every week.
And
we had 4 or 5 shots to win.
Yes.
Imagine if you raced 4 or 5 Pro Street classes in a weekend, you'd win a lot more. So while we might be pretty decent at our little craft, a lot of it just goes to we're willing to throw more chips in there.
That leads me to something I've been sitting here thinking about. I think Jason needs a heavy hitter bike. I swear he's the perfect weight. It's everything.
The problem is I'm not. I've talked about that. Okay, truth be told, all the cards on the table when the grudge scene was taken off, and there's some villains out there in South Carolina, and I wanted to go after them. And I told Andy, I called Andy, I said, I want to get Kool-Aid, and I'm going to get on Kool-Aid, and we're going to call it Diet Kool-Aid, and I'm going to ride it, and I'm going to practice on it, and then we're not going to tell anybody. And then, we're going to put like Kool-Aid, flavored methanol, and I'm going to go after these dudes and start gambling with them. And the problem is I'm 200 pounds or 205, and for me to get a turbo, I'm not heavy enough. And Andy's like, it's no big deal. You just got to weigh 250 when you come to the rate, or 230. And I'm like, listen, dude, I weighed 230 once in my life, and I'm never going back. And, I joked with it, but I do like it. And I think as a fan of motorcycle racing, Jason Miller and XDA and the track staff and Tyler, I mean, he has the best show in town. And from the grudge, like, this is why I hate grudge. I hate grudge, all the crap talking online. You go to a race and you don't race. Like, it pisses me off. I get
the shootouts are awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, because here's why. You can talk all the shit you want, but you have to race.
Yeah, you can't run from that.
Yeah, and I'll tell you right now, it's I think deep down, I don't want to say it saved grudge racing, but it sure as hell helped it a lot. Because, like, I'll tell you flat out, I love parking our bike. We service the bike for the night. We start cooking and we get a drink. I'm a fan. I love watching grudge racing. I don't care how fast they are. I like seeing Spencer go out there and, and Jason, the pipe glows from, the 60 foot on, the pipe is glowing and the flame shooting out. And I like seeing Gage's dad and all those heavy hitters and picking pockets. It's exciting to watch.
Yeah.
And, even Frankie's bike and Chris Moore. Like Chris Moore, you can say what you want about him. I like Chris Moore. He's a villain. And every racing and every sport needs a villain. Not everybody can be Batman. And he's very good at marketing himself as a villain. And he backs it up. Chris Moore is a hell of a rider. He backs it up. So I like watching it. All
I'm saying is Spencer may have two bikes and one might be available. You can have a little nitrous in your life. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, listen. I'm fine with that. I told him, I said, Spencer, I said, you guys have all the hard jobs. Like, I feel like my bike, when it goes down, like, Andy makes fun of me because somebody will make a pass and go like a 50 flat. I'm like, does my bike look that fast? And he's like, dude, you went a 42 years way faster than that. I'm like, but they look so fast when you're not on them, And I'm like, man, does mine look that good? And, it's been, I can't tell you how, won 2 races this year. We went in 4 finals, won 2 races. The race, Darian red lighted against me, but we were the fastest of that weekend. We won a 43. We were the fastest on race day. We started to make milestones in rounds, and that's where it turned for me. We're the fastest of qualifying Q1. We were the fastest of round 1, fastest of round 3. I won 2 finals this year, a 56 and a 50 flat, a 024 light and an 030 light. And, we were setting milestones. And once we did that, we started to be consistent. And World Cup was probably the best for me in my life because my kids and my wife and my family was there. And, my wife wants me to be happy. But, for 3 straight years, I came home and, I'm not going to lie. She said, let me guess, Rodney won. I'm like, yep. She's like, you can't beat him. And, when you try to convince your wife that you can win, it's hard. And, I don't care how good you are. You look at Rodney, he's the best. Let's say he's the best. He still needs luck because he can't do it on his own. And we won World Cup. I thought we could win. I thought we'd match up evenly. And the way I look at that is Rodney ran good in qualifying, but he didn't run good any other pass than the first qualifier. And, we went down the track every single time, whether we were wheeling, airborne, we went down the track. And
consistency.
We were consistent. Andy said, we're going to run a low 50, high 40, and it spun a little bit in third gear and it wheelied in third gear. But, we were going to make him earn it.
Yeah, that's stuff that you can't control, right? Like if you spin the tire, it's something that just kind of happens sometimes,
And we've gotten better as a team managing it. And it's Andy and Dimmy and Brandy and Daddio. And really, I got the best job because I get to look good riding it. But, when the bike was bad, it was all my fault. And when in other people's eyes. But now the bike's consistent and fast. I feel like people maybe in the beginning, 10 years ago, 8 years ago, 7 years ago, thought that it was a pretty easy round against me. Now I feel like we're at the point where, nobody really wants to race me.
Yep.
And I like that,
It's a good feeling.
It's a good feeling. And it's like Rodney, the Rodney era. When you cut the best lights in the class and you notice, and when guys red light against you, it's because they know you're going to go A to B and you're going to put an 030 on them and they're going to have to beat you to take it. And there's guys out there that'll take it from you and there's guys out there that won't. And the same thing with me, it's a vicious cycle, but if they take it from me, I'll shake their hand 100%. That's just racing in general.
Oh yeah. Yep. We get done that way all the time. Last weekend in Super Comp, a guy was 00 on me and I was 02, which ain't bad, but he just snuck in there on me. That's just part of it. I wasn't mad at it. It's part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And, that whole World Cup win, dude, there was a lot of people happy to see you win. Trust me.
Oh, for sure.
People were cheering and rooting you on.
I was like a teenage girl here in Tennessee cheering.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you touched on some good stuff right there. You were talking about some, like round goals and milestones. You got any you want to share for this upcoming season? We're going to XDA, not this weekend, next weekend.
Well, I think deep down, like I said, I feel like we're, Justin is probably right there with me a little bit, he's fighting it out too. But Justin's the same. Justin's going for, wreckers or checkers. He doesn't really necessarily care about wins. He wants to put the smack down and, he's okay 1 for 4 going down the track. But, I'll hand it to him. I'm a man and I'll shake his hand because he's doing it on his own and I can appreciate that. But my milestone this year is, the same as last year is be relevant, be competitive, and be better than you were the year before. And, I say we're a low 50 off the trailer. I believe this year you're going to see me be a high 40. And I think you're going to see us be consistently, we're running 50s. It's weird to say this. When we stumble, we'll run a 60. And that's completely blows my mind. But when you stumble, you run a 60.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to run 40s. I think Darian Payne and Greg Wallace and, Aaron Litton, he is a hell of a man, a hell of a tuner. I think that this, between me, Aaron, and me and Aaron's bikes and the Williford and Shaker, it's gonna be a hell of a dogfight. I feel like you're gonna see a lot of us in the top 5 in qualifying and slugging it out. It's who's gonna go down the track more consistently. I still think Rodney's gonna be rubbing his belly, chuckling a little bit because he knows what he's got. Mm-hmm. But I think I can tell you this: I think we're a hell of a lot closer to him. I don't necessarily think I got to outrun him. I got to run with him.
Yeah.
So. Right. I think we're going to be high 30s this year. I think we can run mid 30s. When Rodney runs a mid 30, he's a 29, 25. He's actually a 25 or 24 to the 8th. We did that with a 20. We went a 39 with a 29 to the 8th. So, we speed up the front half a little bit. We'll be right with him. It sounds easy, but that's
yeah.
My goal is to be better and be more consistent with him.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, hell, second place points finish, an XDA win, a World Cup win, kind of feather in the cap. It was a damn
good year in Pro Street.
Yeah, I mean, dude, that was a heck of a good year, 2022.
Something else that you've always run Pro Street. That's not an easy class to win. You know what I mean? Like you're running the one of the most financially difficult and difficult in tuning and building side there is. So a win there is like winning 20 times and let's just say Pro ET in my mind. You know what I mean? Like it's very hard.
Yeah.
So to get a couple wins and number 2 in the points is outstanding in my opinion.
And so just one thing I'll touch on really quick because I know I've been talking a ton, but World Cup, we unloaded the motorcycle and warmed the bike up and I'm super excited, super amped up. Thursday we get there, we have 2 motors, one in the bike and a spare, which we've always needed a spare at times, but it's never been life threatening. So I'm very comfortable on the bike. The bike, go out first round for qualifying. The bike make 2-3 shift. I hit the override like normal. It's pretty soft pass. And then I lift off the override because it's starting to get a little squirrely out there. And all of a sudden it starts to vibrate, which, you've ridden stuff in your life. That, it's like knock, knock, who's there? It's like one of the cylinders is going to appear pretty quickly. And so, I remember telling Andy, I'm like, if you've ever seen Major League, I'm like, fuck you, Joe Boo, I'll do it myself. I hit the override. And Andy's like, the motor blew up, yet you still hit the override. I'm like, well, who cares? I go, I had to make up for that hole somehow. So the bike throws 2 rods, saws the motor in half, catches on fire. We run a 51 at 233.
Damn.
I roll around the wall right next to the fire wagon. I grab the extinguisher off the fire wagon myself and put the fire out all over the bike and myself. And the lady's like, the EMT comes over to me. She goes, you were a complete and utter psycho. You didn't get off the bike. You just put it out yourself. And I said, so I go back to the pits and, we're sitting there and Andy's like, listen, we don't want to be delicate, but we only have one motor left. And the very next pass, it wheelies and comes off the ground. And, Andy's like, well, that was your bad. I'm like, it was wheeling all of second, all of third, but that's the problem when you get going faster, you get greedy. And I'm like, I'm not lifting because I know that it's going to kill the ET. And Andy's like, listen, dude, you got to lift. I'm like, listen, you get your ass back in that trailer. You make it so that I don't have to lift. and we did it 2 passes in a row where I thought I'd break the transmission. We were like, we're going to have to get another transmission. And, Andy's like, in the semifinals, it didn't make the 5 shift very well. And I'm like, oh my God, the transmission's coming out. We need one more round. And the bolt had just worked loose. And I'm like talking to the bike, I'm very superstitious. I remember being in the burnout box, rubbing the bike, and I'm like, listen, I just need you to make 5 more shifts. I don't care if you blow up at the finish line, if you go down, if you fly off into the sand without me, I don't care. I just need you to go A to B and win this race. And it's Andy has made me a lot better, and we have a really good package right now, and we have a really good bike, and DME is the best, and I have a really good group of guys surrounding me, and I'm very blessed to have that. People say spoiled, call it what you want, but I feel like I'm very blessed to have the people that I have with me.
Man, you work your tail off. They just don't see it every day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
we know.
that, there's a good thing. Tell people that you do have a day job.
I do.
Multiple day jobs.
Yeah, or multiples like Dustin and I.
Like this morning, for example, we've been pretty busy. I work at a landfill that my dad we started in 1982. And, with family business, there's a lot of good, but there's a lot of bad too,
Yeah.
I got up before this morning and I went to work. I exercised and then I went to work at 5:30. And then I took a 15-minute lunch because we were so busy. I got to work at 4. I went to our race shop and I worked on my dad's motorhome to do some stuff to it for next week.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually worked on the junior dragsters because I rented the track Thursday at 4:00, and I'm going to teach my daughter Monroe how to go down the track, and I'm going to work with Brady, and I may even get in the car next to Brady in the junior dragster and teach Brady how to race, how to what you guys call racing is new to me, but just staying in front of him, And I'm like, Brady, you don't have to beat him by a car length, you just got to beat him by the wheel. And he's like, but I want to beat him by a car length. I'm like, I know you do, but that's not the way this works.
Yeah, he's just getting your racing and his racing confused. You know what I mean?
Jason, yeah, you just have to drop him off at Dustin.
Yeah, bring him by.
I know. Don't come back.
We'll start looking at some tickets, man. We'll have that kid doing math no time. He'll be ready.
But he's had the wrong damn hero, man. Like he wants to gap mofos.
And I'll tell you, like I would say Pro Street has a very good group of guys. Like we all joke and like. I can sit here and tell you that there's a lot of assholes in racing, but Pro Street has a really good group of guys. And Ricky Wood came over to the trailer one day. He's like, hey, dude, Brady is very, prominent around the track. He goes trailer to trailer, meets a lot of people. And he went to Ricky Wood, and I had Ricky Wood first round on Sunday. And I'd raced the weekend before, and we beat him. And I think I cut a 0-11 on Ricky. And Ricky was like, man, you just, you screwed me up. I said, well, I want to win too. And we laughed. And Ricky's one of those guys you hate to beat because he works so hard and he's such a good guy. And, but I remember he told me, he's like, dude, your son burned my soul. I'm like, what? He's like, I told Brady, he's like, hey, I got your dad. He goes, you and your daddy and I have a date first round. And Brady goes, so? And he goes, I'm going to bust his ass. And he goes, he took his sunglasses down. He goes, Brady took his sunglasses down, looked at me, he goes, just like Virginia? And Ricky said, Ricky goes, I walked in my motorhome and I looked in the mirror and I looked at my wife and he goes, that kid just burned my soul. Like he knew his daddy stopped me last race. And I told Ricky, I'm like, you win and you lose. And, to hit on a soft point, like James Waugh, he struggled this year. He had an almost bad, horrible accident. And if you've ever rode a Pro Street bike, 100%. And if you've ever rode a Pro Street bike, you know how close he was to wrecking. And, Ricky, I had a great year. I'm not complaining. I don't think I've ever lost on a hole shot in my life. I mean, I probably have, but nothing that sticks out. We went to Gainesville. We made 3 straight finals. Go to Gainesville, qualify number 2. I get James Waugh. There's no excuse. I partied pretty hard the night before. Took my kids to Disney World on Saturday. There's no excuse. I still came there to win. If I don't get on the bike to win, then I'm in the wrong sport.
Right.
James Waugh had a 050 and I had a 060. I was late for me. And I told him at the end of the track, and you could ask him someday, I hugged him and told him I was really proud of him. And he said, for what? And I said, because you got over that hurdle of lifting and, going crooked. And he's like, but you lost. I said, but you won. And I said, you deserve it. I said, I deserve my wins. You deserve this one. And, he was pretty blown away by that. And I have a lot of respect for him. Yeah. He's a man of his word and, I like him. And, it's like one of those things when you see people work hard and they get a little bit of success and they fix their problem, which we've all had in Pro Street. I was proud of him. He did a good job. And riding these things is mentally tough. We joke about Rodney. Rodney could ride it in his pajamas, but for certain people, it's mentally tough. And I'll tell you right now, I think Ben, I think your perspective of racing will change with your child there. Oh, you'll see them be happy, and you'll lose a horrible round, and then your kid will be ecstatic that you'll take him to get ice cream, and it will totally change your life. Maybe and it's like my kids went to Disney World after the race, and I would tell you right now, the whole way down to Disney World, I was so pissed off about losing on a hole shot. I almost had to pull over. I was so pissed off. And you get down to Disney World and you work hard and you get to see your kids smile, and it's like, man, was that really that important?
You still won, brother. You still won.
Yeah, you're winning at life.
Yeah.
Yep.
And in the world today, it's scary out there. And healthy people don't warn you for how stressful children are.
Oh,
and,
bro.
You realize at a young age your kids get bullied, and you want to stuff people in their lockers, and I'm like, I hope this parent walks down a dark alley with me so I can gut punch them and pour a big Chief sugar in their gas tank because I'm pissed off. But raising kids is tough, and it's very rewarding, but it's hard because the world is so cruel.
Yeah. I have personally one of the sweetest little girls you ever see, and the day that somebody does her wrong, I'm going to lose it. You know what I mean? It's going to be tough.
Yeah, for sure. And I agree with everything you said, and, like great group of Pro Street racers, and, just I'm looking forward to seeing everybody next weekend. I know Dustin and I are. It's more pumped
for sure.
We're pumped up.
And I'm looking forward to seeing you guys and seeing everybody that's worked hard and healthy. You look at Mac McAdams and the challenges that he had in life. And, it takes a real set of balls like he has to broadcast that on the internet. And, he didn't want any sympathy from anybody. He wanted to show everybody in the world how he was going to kick its ass. And Daddy-O was the same way. Mm-hmm. And I tell you right now, as a racer and a fan of life, I want to idolize people like that because they got life by the balls and they showed like, listen, dude, and I'm going down without a fight. And like guys like Mac and Daddy-O and people and lots of XCA racers that have gone through trials and tribulations in their life. It's inspiring to say the least. And it puts in perspective. If you start to focus on a little bit of that, you realize that life can be a little bit more fun when it needs to be.
We're all blessed to even be at the racetrack, in my opinion.
For sure.
100%.
For sure.
And I look forward to seeing you guys as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, hey man, we now that I heard you were up at 4 and working at 5:30, I feel like a giant piece of shit. First off, so but also I don't want to take any more of your valuable time. I saw one of your sweet girls come by a little bit earlier and hang out with you for a second. So want to let you go and get on with your evening. I know it's kind of late, so
Hey, listen, I appreciate you both very much and what you do for the sport. And I think this is a great idea. And sponsoring you guys in any way I can help, we'd like to do it because you guys are a pivotal point, a part of this. Like dragbike.com, you guys are a pivotal partner of what's going to keep it going.
Well, talk to Brandy because we done sent Demi an invite for this sponsoring this deal. So he's waiting on Brandy.
Let's make him do it at the racetrack.
Oh yeah,
make him do it at the racetrack.
I think he's in. He's just waiting on Brandy to prove everything. So
well, hey, that did bring up something that I forgot. I did want to touch right before we get off here, though. I want to thank you and your family first off. And I know it's not something that Dust and I are always in, but we're fans of the class. I mean, we just know how much you and your family contribute to Pro Street and the health of that class. And not only are you a racer yourself, but literally you guys are pushing that class forward. So and as fans of watching that class, Dust and I both, we definitely want to thank Dunigan Racing because we know how much you guys contribute, not even just to Pro Street, the sport in general as a whole, but specifically Pro Street. So thank you guys for keeping that because, hell, we love watching it. That's one of our favorite things.
Yeah, we appreciate everything you do for the sport too. Yeah, you can't forget that because your name's always attached, it seems like, and we appreciate it because without everybody putting their part in, it wouldn't be what it is.
And also one last thing, by the way, like, you mentioned a couple times, screw all the haters, screw all the people talking shit. If they think, it's all just fun and hugs and rainbows and, you sleep in till noon every day. Well, no, that's not the case. So we know you're a worker and you've been brought up right. So anything you want to say before we close this up so you can call it an evening?
Nope. I appreciate you guys very much. And, I appreciate that we have great places to race and great tracks to race and a great organization with Jason Martin XDA. And, hopefully this year we'll learn that we can get better at everything. And, I love that about the racetrack. There's no politics. There's no nothing. It's just right and wrong.
That's right.
And I think when you teach kids right and wrong, the world's going to be a better place. And I look forward to seeing you both and everybody else. And thanks to all the people that have supported me in the wins I've had and the races I've had. And you're right. I'm not going to make everybody happy, but I'm looking forward to proving more doubters wrong.
That's right.
That's right.
All right, buddy. Well, we love you, man.
Jason. Right. Yep, we love you.
You guys.
See
Thanks,
you in a week. Thanks for joining us.
All right, no problem. See you guys. Thanks.
See you.
See you.